Nobody said running an agency would be easy, and that is especially true for today's subject matter, Psy. Today, I wanted to take a look at what's been going on over at P Nation amid recent articles that have been coming out in regards to Psy and P Nation and just the way he handles his business. So, let's talk about it. I know I'm always the first one to say, oh, such and such should open their own agency. They should do this, they should do that. But that is only to be taken with a very light grain of salt because considering what Sai is going through right now, as successful as that man is, I wouldn't suggest anybody just go out and start their own company all willy nilly, like for real, for real. At least not without tons of support and a clear plan, at least. But even with all that in place, anything can happen. Take P Nation, for instance. So, Psy left YG and founded the company P Nation on October 29th, 2018, which was a big move. And it seemed promising enough, though, because right after he opened, this company, he had already signed three major K pop powerhouses: Lucky J's Jesse and former Cube Entertainment rebels Hyuna and Dawn. Other notable artists under P Nation are Hayes, Crush, Penameko, Swings, and TNX. All very notable except for maybe TNX since they're fairly newer to the K pop scene. Now, we've already covered the departure of P Nation's biggest names, which came as a surprise to many, including myself, considering how close they are with the man in charge. But today I just really want to focus on other instances that P Nation has been involved in since those departures and even like before or whatever. So although there are some pretty harsh article headlines going around like surfacing that are like kind of tearing Psy down. I want to be clear that this video isn't meant to slander or attack Psy and P Nation. I've always been a fan of his work and I actually want to see him succeed. There are like articles calling him a failure and saying he's suffering a crisis and this and that. I've also seen stuff about how, Jesse and Hyuna were his saviors since they came with their own like large fan bases when they joined his company. Now, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but man, some of these articles are really trying to go in hard on Psy. Like, put some respect on his name. This man he's had a platform and a super huge fan base of his own. Okay, like he's had a massive following for a while. Not saying that the popularity that the ladies have didn't like help boost his company in some way because I'm sure it did, but let's not sit here and pretend that Psy is solely eating just because of the benefit he's getting from Hyuna and Jesse or had gotten. Like that's not the case. Nobody wants to like wake up first thing in the morning and see like negative stuff about them online. So I just hope that everybody can be more mindful about how they communicate and like what they say about each other in general cuz I don't know, some of these articles I was reading was just like really cutthroat. But anyways, like I've mentioned earlier, Psy has an actual boy group under his company, which is interesting because I literally had no idea. Psy has been called out for not being the best at promoting his artists, and I actually have to like agree with that critique. I mean, when Jesse or Hyuna or Don had a comeback, I knew about it instantly because I follow them all on like all their socials, and they promote their own stuff pretty heavily. So I knew from them personally, you know, whenever they were coming out with a new song or whatever. But anybody else under his company, like if they had promotions or if they were like coming out with something, like I just don't think that the promotions were done that well or not as well as they could have been. Like I just don't think P Nation like handled promoting his artists like that good. Like take TNX for instance. Like who are they and where did they even come from? According to kbizm.com, they are P Nation's like first attempt at an in-house idol production. So, like with so much going on over there, I'm not sure if this was the smartest move for Psy to do. Like making a whole boy group out of nowhere. Maybe he should have just like tried focusing on, the few solo artists that he does have. Maybe if he just like put more energy into them and like made them a top priority, they wouldn't be like dropping like flies. But then again, like I don't have an agency, so what do I know? But anyways, P Nation ended up partnering with JYP and SBS for a survival reality TV show called Loud to create the next two big boy groups. You already know the drill. Apparently, the show didn't garner that much attention. It just wasn't really that captivating to the audiences, but nonetheless, the six-member boy group TNX was produced and they debuted earlier this year. It's just crazy to me because I still have not heard of them prior to researching this video. Like, I just don't know why P Nation doesn't put more emphasis on promoting their artists, but if he wants to keep them signed under his label longer, maybe that's an avenue that he should explore more. Like, just like the promotion or who like handles that. I don't know who sits on the marketing, advertising, promoting board at P Nation, but they need to start like literally doing their jobs. Like literally, like who knows? Like I don't know anything about TNX. But he was able to get away with like not promoting his bigger names, I feel like, because they have like massive followings. Like he can go without promoting for Jesse or Don or Hyuna because people are gonna like I said, like people follow them anyway. Like people are gonna digest and know what they're doing anyways. But when it comes to like when it comes to those like lesser known groups or those people, like they really need that push, they need that emphasis, they need all the big lights and shining arrows like pointing at them. So now, I guess like now that the meat and potatoes of his label is gone, the big breadwinners, those big three that dropped out, now that they're gone, it's just like really up to Psy to push this information out to the public on upcoming projects as it pertains to his remaining artists. Like he really needs to get on that. I do know that he's mentioned Crush's comeback, which will be happening really soon. So let's hope that Crush gets the proper promotions and, just the proper attention that he deserves, especially since this will be like his first comeback since he's returned from his mandatory service term. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. So in addition to Idol production needing to be worked on and better promoting of his artist, P Nation was recently raided in relations to a death investigation of one of the company's unofficial employees. So according to All K-Pop, on August 25th, 2022, P Nation was raided by the Ministry of Employment and Labor to investigate the death of a young Mongolian worker in his 20s who had fallen to death while disassembling Psy's Summer Swag set on July 30th, 2022. Allegedly, the cause of the fall and ultimately the man's untimely death was largely blamed due to the fact that he was not given the proper equipment to dismantle the set in the first place, in addition to the weather conditions being like a factor on that day as well. So the point of the investigation is to determine whether this is true, because if so, then that means that P Nation's response to crisis control is completely non-existent and like utterly terrible. But even more importantly, it would also mean that P Nation violated the Industrial Safety and Health Act. Now, this act was put into place to protect workers from having to work during harsh weather conditions. So the fact that this young man was put to work without the proper equipment in terrible weather conditions means his death could have been entirely avoided, and it's just so disheartening that he had to lose it over an event. My condolences and my peace and prayers go to his family and loved ones. I can't imagine like what they're going through right now, knowing that your loved one is just like being sent to work, and then you get a call that they like they passed away at work. That's insane. So the Ministry of Employment and Labor, they not only have a search warrant, but a seizure warrant for this investigation for P Nation's violation of industry safety laws. In a response to the raid, the ministry released a statement that reads, "This is to confirm the contractual relationship between the concert production agency and the stage installer at the time of the accident, and whether there were instructions on implementing safety measures related to the stage installation." So I am personally glad that we have laws like this set in place so that companies can be held accountable for things like this. Literally, a man lost his life for something that could have waited a few hours or days. Like, it's just it's so senseless to me. And I can't defend why Psy allowed that to happen, even if he wasn't like the person who personally told the young man to take the set down. Psy is the one in charge. He's the face of the company. So when anything goes down, naturally, we're all going to look to him for answers. And his response at the time when this happened at the end of July, well, it reads, "We'll do our best to establish measures to prevent another accident such as this from occurring with a sense of responsibility." Yeah, that's it. Like I can't make this up. Like that's literally all he said, you know, and I can't make people react the way that I want them to. I get it, but personally, I would have mentioned, you know, the family, the worker, how sorry I am, just a little bit something more than that. Like I would have gave something more. Just I don't know, that response just didn't do it for me, but I don't know. I digress. But as if like the death of a worker wasn't bad enough for that same event, like he ended up wasting around 300 blocks of water while drenching the attendees, and this was in the middle of South Korea's like severe drought crisis that was going on. So that ticked off a lot of people, and rightfully so. Then Korea's Central Epidemic Control Headquarters said that the event could be a super spreader, like breeding ground for COVID. And, you know, their speculations turned out to be true because many people who attended the event, they were reported to have contracted COVID-19 like right after that. And then the city of Yosu, which is where the event was held, they even mentioned that Psy's concert left the stadium extremely damaged, even after all of that. So how come a man can lose his life over trying to clean up the mess of the concert that P Nation created, and then you still didn't pass like the cleaning inspection afterwards? Like, it just, I don't know, it just baffles me. It's just insane. It's insane. Well, anyways, that's pretty much what's been going on over at P Nation. I just wanted to update you guys on all these topics, like if you weren't aware, and of course, put my little 2 cents in. But then again, like I said, I don't have a dog in this fight. I, like I stated before, I don't know the first thing about running an agency. In any case, like I don't want to see Psy like go down like this and have hard and troubling times. I do want to see him win, and I hope that he learns from his experiences. I hope that he takes every single blessing and challenge that comes his way and applies them to make better decisions, and I hope he uses this to like strengthen his company. But yeah, just let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this. How do you feel about the way P Nation handled the Summerfest incident? There's so many pieces, like rolling pieces with that one. What's your take on how he is on like producing these groups, like as far as TNX, and how he's like managing his other artists? How well do you think that he promotes his artists? Do you think he could like do better? I'm just curious to know what you guys' thoughts are on this. But until the next video, I'll see you around.